The coffee shop smelled of burnt espresso and broken dreams, much like Rachel Bennett's current state of mind. She pushed through the glass door at exactly 6:47 a.m., her hair pulled back in a messy bun that had seen better days. No trace of makeup on her face, and wearing the same oversized sweater she'd slept in. This was her strategy now. Look as unappealing as possible. Be as forgettable as a shadow. If she could just make it through the next few months without catching anyone's attention, especially male attention, she might survive with her sanity intact. 3 months ago, she'd been a rising star architect, engaged to the firm's golden boy. Then, she walked into his office unannounced and found him with the intern. The breakup had been nuclear. Her ex-fiancé destroyed her reputation at the firm, and she resigned before they could push her out. Now, she freelanced from coffee shops, picking up small renovation projects, and avoided anything resembling a social life. But tonight, her best friend Monica had set up a ridiculous blind date. Rachel's plan? Show up looking exactly like this. Disheveled, barefaced, and utterly unremarkable. The guy would take one look, make an excuse, and she'd be free. Monica said, "Please tell me you're still coming tonight." Rachel replied flatly, "I'm coming, Monica. But don't expect anything. I'm going exactly like this." Monica's eyes widened. "Rachel, honey, I love you, but you look like you've been living in a cave for 3 months." Rachel took a sip of coffee and said, "That's the point. Your friend will take one look at me, realize I'm not worth his time, and I can go home." Monica groaned. "You don't even know anything about him. He's new to the city, runs some kind of investment company, and he's very down to earth. He specifically said he wants to meet someone genuine. Just promise me you'll give him 30 minutes. That's all I ask." Rachel sighed. "Fine. 30 minutes, then I'm out." The restaurant was a small, cozy place in the West Village. Rachel arrived exactly on time. The hostess led her to a table near the window where a man sat looking at his phone. As she approached, he stood up, and Rachel felt her carefully constructed indifference crack just slightly. He wasn't what she expected. He was tall, with dark hair that looked like he'd run his fingers through it a few times. He wore a simple navy sweater and jeans, no designer labels, no flashy watch, no air of self-importance. With a warm, genuine smile, he said, "Rachel? I'm Daniel. Daniel Pierce." Rachel shook his hand and said, "Nice to meet you." Rachel braced herself for awkward small talk, but Daniel immediately launched into a self-deprecating story about getting terribly lost on the subway his first week in New York. Despite herself, Rachel smiled. As the night went on, Daniel asked thoughtful questions about her work. When she hesitantly mentioned her current project, renovating an old bookstore in Brooklyn, Daniel's face lit up. Daniel said, "That sounds incredible. I love old bookstores. There's something about the smell of old paper and wood that feels like home." They talked for over an hour. Rachel found herself forgetting about her no-makeup strategy. Daniel didn't name-drop, didn't show off, and seemed genuinely captivated by the real her, even with the coffee stain on her sleeve. When the bill came, Rachel insisted on splitting it. Daniel looked at her with a newfound respect. Over the next 3 weeks, they fell into an easy rhythm. Coffee dates, long walks through Central Park, and casual dinners. Rachel kept her appearance deliberately low maintenance, and Daniel never commented on it. He loved her mind, her passion, and her strength. But one evening, while sharing Thai food in Rachel's tiny studio apartment, curiosity got the better of her. Rachel asked casually, "So, this investment company of yours. What's it called?" Daniel froze for a second. "It's called Pierce Capital. Small firm, very private clients. We keep a low profile." Rachel pulled out her phone and searched the name. The website was barebones. No photos, no directory. But then she searched Daniel Pierce. Her stomach dropped. The screen flooded with articles. Daniel Pierce, billionaire investor. Daniel Pierce closes major tech acquisition. Daniel Pierce donates $50 million to education. The room seemed to tilt. Rachel's voice turned sharp. You're a billionaire? Why would you lie to me about this? Daniel looked stressed, running a hand through his hair. I didn't lie, Rachel. I just omitted details. Do you know what it's like? Every woman I meet sees dollar signs. They dress up, act fake, and agree with everything I say. It's exhausting. Then Monica told me about you. She said you were genuine. And that first night, you showed up looking like you'd rather be anywhere else. It was the most refreshing thing I'd experienced in years. Rachel laughed bitterly, tears in her eyes. So this was all a test? You were slumming it to see if I was real enough for your high standards? Daniel reached out. No, it wasn't like that. I just wanted someone to see me, not my bank account. And you did. Rachel snapped, I don't even know who the real you is. You've been playing a game while I've been falling for you. I think you should leave, Daniel. Daniel looked miserable. Rachel, please. I'm still the same person who loves old bookstores and terrible baseball. That's all real. With her voice breaking, Rachel said, but you didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth. Just like my ex. I can't do this again. I can't be with someone who hides. Daniel left, and Rachel collapsed on her couch. For the next 2 weeks, she threw herself into the bookstore renovation with almost manic energy. She blocked Daniel's number, ignoring his dozens of texts. One afternoon, as she was furiously stripping old wallpaper, the bookstore's 70-year-old owner, Mrs. Kowalski, walked in. She handed Rachel a cup of coffee and sat her down. Mrs. Kowalski said, You're going to sit here and overthink until your brain explodes. So, let me tell you a story. My late husband, Joseph, was a professor when I met him. He told me he taught literature at a small college. We courted for 6 months before I learned he was actually the head of the entire literature department at Columbia University, highly famous and wealthy. He'd been terrified I'd see him differently if I knew. Rachel asked quietly, Weren't you furious? He lied. Mrs. Kowalski smiled gently. I was absolutely furious. But then I realized, the man I fell in love with, the one who listened to my dreams, he was real. The money and accolades were just details. He protected himself, Rachel. Just like you have been protecting yourself by hiding behind no makeup and messy hair. Rachel lowered her head. I just wanted to know if someone could like me for me. Mrs. Kowalski stood up. And he did. The question is, can you be brave enough to let him? Can you both be brave enough to be your whole selves, complicated parts included? That night, Rachel unblocked Daniel's number. The last message he had sent read, The bookstore opening is in 2 days. I won't be there because I don't want to make you uncomfortable, but I hope it's everything you dreamed of. Rachel looked in the mirror. The woman staring back was tired and scared, but she was also talented, strong, and capable of love. It was time to stop hiding. 2 days later, the bookstore grand opening was magical. The space glowed with warm light. But Rachel wasn't looking at the crowd. For the first time in months, she had dressed up intentionally, a simple, elegant dress, her hair styled, and light makeup. She grabbed her coat, looked at Monica, and asked for his address. 20 minutes later, Rachel stood outside a luxury penthouse in Tribeca. When the elevator opened, she walked straight to Daniel's door and knocked. Daniel answered in sweatpants and a t-shirt, looking completely shocked. Daniel gasped. Rachel? What are you? Rachel interrupted, her voice shaking but strong. I'm scared. I'm absolutely terrified. You have billions of dollars and I have student loans. I showed up to our first date looking like a total mess because I was too afraid to try. But I'm done hiding, Daniel. From you, and from myself. Daniel looked at her, hope dawning in his eyes. Rachel continued, I was testing you too, keeping my walls up so if you rejected me, it wouldn't hurt. But that's not fair. I want to try again. The real version. Where you tell me about your crazy billionaire world, and I tell you when I'm feeling insecure. Where we both show up as our whole, honest selves. Daniel stepped forward, taking her hand softly. I would like that very much. But Rachel, you need to know, you are enough. Just as you are. With or without makeup, dressed up, or in a coffee-stained sweater. You've always been enough. Rachel smiled through her tears. Good. Now, take me to my bookstore opening. Daniel grabbed his jacket, and as they rode down in the elevator, his hand found hers. It felt like a real beginning. Rachel teased, though, I reserve the right to show up to our wedding with a messy bun and a coffee stain. Daniel Geographic laughed and said, deal. Sometimes, love requires us to be brave enough to show our true, imperfect selves. If you want to see more stories about life, love, and second chances, please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Your support means the world to us. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode.